Hi guys, I'm back again with another reaction video, and today we're reacting to top 10 cheapest states to live in 2021. Well, before we start, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button to get notified whenever I do upload a video. Anyways guys, let's check this out. See? Oh, my volume, yeah.
Today I'm going to show you the states with the lowest cost of living in 2021. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs. Today we're going to look at the cheapest states to live in 2021. Life here in the United States is somewhat moving towards normality, and a post-pandemic life may actually be in sight. We're also starting to realize how bad the economy is damaged. Life in 2021 and beyond might be considerably different from before the pandemic. State-to-state migration has picked up steam, and people are starting to research where their next home state might be. After jobs, people research cost of living and cost of housing. Another one that is important but not often looked at is the cost of groceries. It does vary state to state, a lot in some cases. In this list, we'll include all three of those things. The cost of living index is based on the U.S. average of 100. Any amount below 100 means that the cost is below the nation's average, and any amount above means the cost is higher than the nation's average.
How about like the taxes? Not only your taxes when you go to the stores and restaurants and all that, but your property tax. Is it gonna be included in this as well? Because maybe you're going to have cheaper groceries, but then maybe the properties are more expensive, or maybe is it a generalized thing? We'll say
the nation's average, and any amount above means the cost is higher than the nation's average. It's that easy. Easiest way to understand it is, let's say Virginia is average. If it costs $1 a pound for flour in Virginia, it costs 93 cents in Louisiana because they have a grocery index of 93. Simple. All these stats are from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Let's see what we found.
I'm getting comfortable
Number
because
10,
I wanna...
Indiana. Indiana is a state I think will become more popular in life after COVID. They have more than enough small towns with good internet and a low cost of living that should draw remote workers in. If you're retiring and just want to kick back and relax and you don't mind a little cold, Hoosier State might be a good option. Keep in mind, Gary, Indiana, parts of South Bend, and parts of Indianapolis are not good options. If anyone suggests that you move to any of those cities, they aren't your friend, and unfriend them. The cost of living index in Indiana is 90.4. Grocery cost index is 92.3, and housing cost index is 76.5.
Okay, we have the housing cost index. Okay, good.
Index is 92.3, and housing cost index is 76.5. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's what's
Number 9, Tennessee. Tennessee is where you go when you want a little of the big city feel, but you want to live near the country, you know, not too far away from rural areas. That's easy to do in Tennessee. Other than Memphis, there aren't a lot of terrible places to live in the volunteer state. But according to one guy named Marty, who's from Memphis, says there's nothing wrong with Memphis and I should be arrested for lying and frauding Tennessee. Spelt it F-R-A-D-I-N-G. I replied back with, how was Tennessee defrauded? He replied with, who's defrauded? I'm talking about you. It was at that point I realized if I continued interacting with him, I would just become dumber. 2 days later, I got an email back from him after not responding. He said, I didn't think you'd have anything to say. I'm at a loss, people. I am totally at a loss.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Moving on. The cost of living index in Tennessee is 90.2. The grocery cost index is 94.5. And housing is really low at 82.6. That is not bad. Taxes in Tennessee are very low, so that helps out. There's no state income tax, and food costs are very low, like I'd said. Cities like Morristown have an average cost of living that's 13% lower than the national average. It's a great time to live in Tennessee.
Because this country is already like super affordable for a lot of Americans, but the taxes when it comes to property, it's scam. This is a country full of scamizing, right? It's scam. Like anything that you have to pay to the government is a scam. They take advantage of that. Like, yes, your food is very cheap or affordable, let's say. Healthcare is very, very affordable. I mean, I'm comparing it to you guys in the States. And housing is very affordable, but when it comes to the taxing, You're gonna shit your pants a billion times before you. Yeah, that's where they scam you when it comes to like paying back to the government. That's where they're like, I see you. I'm gonna drain your pockets and let's see who is. So yeah.
New Mexico. New Mexico has a bunch of problems. Poverty and crime are what would be considered major problems here. That, in part, is why the state is so inexpensive. New Mexico is always in the top 10 when it comes to poverty, and that doesn't mean you can't find nice places to live. You have places that are nice and a little expensive, like White Rock and Los Alamos, to places like Lovington and Hobbs that have a really low cost of living and a little more crime than they need to have. Now, when I say crime, I'm not talking bad side of Detroit or south side Chicago crime. This is New Mexico crime. It's not the best, but it's not crazy.
Okay.
Cost of living index is 89.6. Grocery cost index is 99.0.
Indiana
and
is
housing is 80.4.
I'm looking at the housing more than anything else because that's the most important for me, I guess. Cost of living, of course, it's important too. But look at that. Grocery is 99%. So it means it's high when it comes to food. And cost of living is, it's okay, it's not bad. And then when it comes to housing, it's like, ooh, so...
Grocery cost
Indiana
index
is
99.0 and housing is 80.4. One other thing about New Mexico, it has some of the lowest utility costs in the country.
Okay.
Number 7, Alabama. The Yellowhammer State is starting to show signs of life. Since 2018, they have started to see an increase in younger workers, mostly on the tech side of things with new college
I'll
grads.
go to Alabama.
Smart
you know
people
why?
are moving to Alabama. Whoever saw that one coming? Normally, you were smart if you didn't move to Alabama. But the tech people are moving to Alabama, sort of destroying that old stereotype about Alabama that gave us great jokes like, what do you call 23 John Deere tractors at a Dairy Queen? Prom night in Alabama. Alabama's got some spots you don't want to live in, but they also have some really nice areas. Madison, Alabama's nice. Hoover, Alabama. Homewood. Chelsea, Alabama.
Just reminds
These are all
GTA
really nice places that,
play.
you know, they can get expensive, but then you have some places that are still decent, like Helena, Spanish Fort, Mobile. They're decent, you know, not perfect. The cost of living index in Alabama is 89.4. Grocery costs are 95.1.
Ooh, Alabama!
Get this,
You're
70.2. So just a refresher, that means with a 70.2 housing cost index, an apartment in Virginia that costs $1,000 only costs $700 in Alabama.
How about the tax though? Is it also part of the taxations? Like, is it also 70% or is it just like the money you buy it or rent it out, right? Let me know, guys. I think it's also
Number 6, tax. Georgia. Georgia is an inexpensive state to live in and would really shine if you took Atlanta out of the equation.
Alabama is number 1 now for
expensive. Me. In general, the entire state is inexpensive, but Atlanta is a little different. You have beautiful cities here like Savannah that aren't crazy expensive. You look at Savannah and you see down by their waterfront and all that, it's a beautiful historic city, and you think this place...
When I say is it real, I mean like, is the picture or the video he's showing us the real... Georgia, right? Is what we're doing now. Yeah. Is this in Georgia or is it like a stock footage that he just put together?
You have beautiful cities here like Savannah that aren't crazy expensive. You look at Savannah and you see down by their waterfront and all that, it's a beautiful historic city, and you think this place is expensive. It's really not. Georgia's another state with great places to move for remote workers. The median rent price in Georgia is cheaper than the rest of the country. Cost of living index is 89.4. The grocery cost of index is 99.0, so it's almost even. And the housing is 71.3.
Alabama.
Number 5, Missouri.
Still mine.
The Show Me State is probably the state I would choose out of all the states on this list.
Ooh,
the Lake of the Ozarks is an incredible place to own land and live, and I've been looking into it. I doubt I'll ever move there or anything like that, but it's one of those things I think about sometimes. Anyway, Missouri is investing in internet infrastructure, and more small towns are getting decent internet. That's always been a problem with Missouri. They were kind of behind outside the cities when it came to internet. Indiana's kind of the same way. But lately they've been changing that, and I think it's an attempt to draw in more remote workers. Now, if they could just get the locals to quit calling it the interweb, they'd be okay. I'm not even kidding. When I worked at Netflix, I'd get them all the time, and they'd call it the interweb. I'm on the interweb right now, and it was people in Missouri and Indiana, that portion of the country. It was just
Interweb. I don't
Arkansas
mind
too.
if they call it
used to call it the
interweb.
interweb a lot also.
Can call
the
it
cost of living
anything.
index in Missouri is 88.9. The grocery cost
Not
index
bad.
is 97.6.
For a city like this, that is not bad. It's even like lower, especially the grocery cost is lower than Savannah. So that is a shout. That is definitely a shout. It's like a second, close second. It depends how I'm feeling, right? As if I'm going there. I'm just pretending, right?
And housing is 71.6.
Number
4,
four.
Kansas. Kansas is a state that was built on farming, and these days they
Ooh,
are
I
big
like
in
a bit of
meatpacking and
farming.
manufacturing. They have a lot of open land and not a lot of people outside its major
I
cities,
like
so
that.
housing tends to be on the cheaper side. If you're an avid hunter, you should be aware of a few restrictive hunting laws they have
That's
in Kansas.
creepy, but
Number 1, it is
that's
illegal to
me.
use a mule
Just
in
be
duck
alone
hunting.
by myself.
Yeah, and number 2, you can't shoot rabbits from your motorboat. That's no joke. Look it up.
Can you
Kansas,
get out of the
again,
motorboat
like a
and
lot of
shoot
other
rabbits?
states, have now started to see where the country is going, so they're really putting a lot of effort into getting faster internet to some of the more rural places and trying to attract a lot of remote workers. Cost of living index here is 87.9, grocery cost index is 92.8, and housing is 71.8. It's kind of cheap to live in Kansas.
Okay, Kansas, I'll
Number
see
3,
you.
Arkansas. Well,
Arkansas.
it's Arkansas, so you know it's going to be cheap. Like I've said before,
Ooh, that
the northwest
sunset.
corner of the state is a little bit different.
Beautiful.
It actually is a place with jobs and not that much crime or poverty. The rest of the cities in Arkansas aren't ideal, to put it mildly. Unless you're a
Why?
criminal, then by all means, knock yourself out. You'll find a lot of like-minded idiots in those cities. But the
Wait, what
criminal,
did you
then by all
say?
means. The rest of the cities in Arkansas aren't ideal, to put it mildly. Unless you're a
Aren't
criminal, then by all
ideal.
means, knock yourself
Why?
out. You'll find a lot of like-minded idiots in those cities. But the small towns scattered around Arkansas are decent most of the time, and they're always cheap. Arkansas has the second lowest
scaring
living
me with
wage of any state
most of
in
the
the
time.
union. 49,000 is considered a living wage there. The cost of living index is 87.8, grocery cost index is
Oh, wow.
90.7, and housing cost index is 75.2.
But Alabama is still my
Number 2,
beautiful.
Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like
Missouri.
Kansas
One
and
of
a lot of the other states around this area. They have a lot of open land and a ton of small towns with a real low cost of living. The two main cities in Oklahoma are Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and they both have a low cost of living. Both
That's
cities
beautiful.
have a cost of living that's 13% lower than the national average. Those are big cities. That's unheard of. Cities are always more expensive
Yeah.
than the rest of the country. Not here. Both Oklahoma City and Tulsa have some crime, like all cities in the nation, but not crazy.
Okay.
Both have jobs, and neither are wrecked with poverty. They also have a lot of small towns that would love to have you. One thing to keep in mind, Oklahoma does have jobs, they just don't have many good paying jobs. So if you're showing up like a remote worker with your own job or something like that, Oklahoma's
that's
probably
fine.
ideal.
Okay.
The cost of living index is 86.8, grocery
Damn.
index is
Okay,
94.1,
Oklahoma.
and the housing
I
cost
see
index
you.
is 70.1. You could save some money moving to Oklahoma.
Great. Yeah.
All right, before we get to number 1, I will leave links down to some other videos that are similar
What
to
is
this
number
one
one,
if I
guys?
enjoyed.
Let me know.
So check
I
those
mean,
out.
what
Also,
are your guesses before we move forward? What are your guesses for number 1? I don't know enough of the states to
we have
know.
another channel called On This Day. I will leave a link down below for that too. All right, on to number 1.
On this day.
And number 1,
is this?
Mississippi.
Oh,
Hey, look, it's
Mississippi.
our old pal, the Magnolia State. Mississippi makes it onto a list with a positive spin for once. They never make it onto positive lists. But I guess part of the reason they're so cheap and made it onto this list is because they suck like a Dyson vacuum with a jet engine in a lot of respects. Most of Mississippi's issues
This guy's
have to
going
do
in.
with poverty. This is nothing new to this place. They've been broke for so long, the Federal Reserve won't even return their calls, and I think they may have actually unfriended them on Facebook. It is dirt cheap to live here. This
It's
is like
crazy.
Nirvana for remote workers and retirees looking to save some money. Stay out of
Aw.
Jackson and you should be okay. Jackson, Mississippi's not a good place
Is
to
that the
live.
one?
The rest
Okay.
of the state, with all its little small towns here and there, they're pretty nice. They have some really run-down small towns, so make sure you choose wisely. But the good small towns are really good, and they have quality people there. The cost of living index in
That's all you need,
Mississippi
quality
is
people.
84.8. The grocery cost index is
That is the lowest housing cost I've ever seen in my entire life, and cost of living is really average. Grocery is good enough, right? And then That is, wow,
is 93.1, and the housing cost is 66.7. So Mississippi is your #1 state to live on the cheap in 2021. Hopefully 2022 will be better.
I hope so. We all hope so. Oh, that sunset was beautiful.
That's today's list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it.
Cold.
Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.
Wearing this then, huh? Right. That was really informative, especially for this kind of like world we live in now. For people who are planning to move, I guess that would be a nice video to get some facts. I don't know if it's how accurate it is, but I feel like it might be. Let me know, guys. Do you live in one of these states, or do you plan to move to one of these states, or which one would you most likely move to if you had to choose? Let me know what you guys think. That was really informative, interesting. I love watching this type of videos because I know nothing. So anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave in the comment section down below what other videos like to react to. The original link of this video will be in the description box down below, so it's my social media link. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.